Two of our members are now emotionally stressed
The computer has been going very slow.
Each other off.
My PowerPoint, for instance, is still starting. And I open it up. Yes, we have one more period of class. So I guess while my PowerPoint is lazily taking its time to open up to reveal our lesson for today, I was approached about giving separate new options for the weekly schedule. Hello, Esme. Hello. We had initially agreed on, I believe, a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's what people were interested in, right? But I heard that you guys had been sort of discussing something, an alternative. Does anyone want to present that alternative? No.
Yeah,
No.
How about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah.
What is it?
have it 3 days in a row.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay, so I heard a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that was something that I did not present. So I had presented, I believe, a Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just to get them out of the way in the beginning of the week. And I presented a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which was more of a spread out schedule with every other day getting to sleep in. I did not present a squunched in the middle of sandwich schedule. So if I were to redo the vote on this, the previous vote, what I would do is I'd do it on the previous vote of the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday versus the sandwich schedule, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those would be the two. I know what people, what individuals like, but it's still a vote right now for things. So
You can vote on
that's really the only. Excuse me, Emma.
We can vote on 3 things.
Okay, do you want to vote on 3 things? Is that going to be the fairest option? Okay, we'll do that. So we'll do all 3 of these, okay? So, real quick, with the show of hands, and Esme, could you write down the official vote tally for each thing there, just so we know it's fair? All in
Esme makes everything fair.
Yeah. Hand votes are incredibly unbiased. All in favor of a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday schedule, meaning getting it done in the beginning of the week, raise your hand. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 1, 2. 2. Record it. Let it be heard. Oh my gosh, my PowerPoint is still opening. Second vote, the spread out schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you have the 3 days spread out throughout the week, every other day. Go ahead and do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
We'll just have it all at once.
Oh wait, Andrew's got his hand up as well.
I like the penny.
No, raise your hand or just don't even move it, okay? I don't want you to feel like you're... I know, don't get any influence. It's just a vote. 1, 2, 3, what is it? 4, 5, and then Andrew's 6. I'm gonna count Andrew. 6.
That's more than half the class.
No, wait, Kaylin's vote.
Do you want
Kaylin.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay,
Say this again. Hold on.
It's either in the beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
It's spread out Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or it's a sandwich, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
One of the ones where it's not spread out.
Yep.
One of the
Okay,
ones where it's not spread out. Okay, so would you want the one in the beginning of the week or this? I'm about to take the vote for the sandwich, so you can decide. So we had 6, I believe, correct, Andrew? And so now we have the final vote, which is the sandwich schedule, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. please raise your hand for Tuesday, Wednesday. You guys you can't vote twice.
We did it for fun.
Losers.
No fun here.
1, 2,
No.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 for the sandwich schedule. It is a split. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
You're allowing this? I thought there was fairness here, Morris.
What's wrong with the fair?
Change their vote.
No, I am going to change the vote because it is 6. It's 8 to 6. So the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday won, right? That's me. So it carried the motion. Okay, because we're a simple majority here. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is the schedule for now, and we can revisit it next month. Okay, if it doesn't feel like it's working, we'll put it back up for a vote, and we'll do that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is fine.
So we come back tomorrow?
Well, we're gonna come back tomorrow anyways this week because
We
it was
were-
a
We were
4-day.
gonna
back Friday.
Friday. Friday.
Huh?
We were gonna plan on doing Friday night.
Did I?
Yeah. And then doing
Well,
Thursday.
We're doing Thursday, so
So we're doing
we'll just
Thursday
get it
now.
done. Yeah, I don't remember saying Friday. Did I say Friday?
Yeah, I
you
feel like
said
we
Friday.
have Thursday off,
No.
and then we're coming Friday. Everyone's like, okay, Morris. We're like, okay, and we'll continue on.
I don't know. Maybe you're right.
It's probably recorded somewhere.
Yeah, it's probably. No, it's not. All right. We left off in the great. Do you remember the 3 tests of truthiness?
Yeah.
3 truth tests. Yes, I'm trying to remember if you. I'm trying to see if you remember those 3 truth tests and what their names are. Besides looking them up in your notes. Come here, shout out one.
Conversion? Or die?
That's a type of. That would be a type of question that you can ask. So that is in the category of questions. Emma. Coherence. Okay, so coherence is one of the truth tests. Okay, so what is coherence as a truth test? Zach. So coherence is if they are not necessarily, well, logically consistent is part of it, yes. So very good. Logically consistent and because of its evidence in the world. So you're like, you know things about the world. There's no pink elephant in Lake Elsinore. And the reason why is because I know that there are elephants aren't pink, because I know that elephants don't normally live in Lake Elsinore. It's an African-based mammal, so all that kind of stuff would be examples. So I'm going to start right there again just to kind of do a quick review of truthiness, and then we'll continue on from there. We'll probably end in about 4 slides. There will be the introduction to logic, which will have a new section of reading in chapter 7 and 8 in logic. But you guys, I know some of you still don't have those textbooks. Make sure that you're getting them the week, and that you still write down the things that you need to do, because you'll need to play some catch up if we are to stay on track. We've got to do quite a bit before the end of the semester. We also have some outside assessments that we're trying to build ourselves into. All right. Let's see if this is going. So once again, coherence is the one that Zach did. Thank you very much. Put +2 on your notes, because that was good for you to bring up. The other 2 being correspondence and pragmatic. Correspondence is the fact that there are observable data from the world, and that it corresponds. So it's very much interested in sense perception. This is both your history of senses as well as things being able to fit together, again, cohere, logically consistent. Finally, pragmatic is that a statement is true insofar as it has meaning for me at the time. It's not that it's completely subjective. You can still put it to certain tests, but you don't have complete knowledge or truth of the situation. I mentioned the mechanic. The mechanic tells you your alternator is messed up. You switch the alternator and your car works. You don't really care if it's really the alternator or some other type of factor involved that just so happens to have been fixed with the alternator, but your car works. So pragmatic. It's true because it works. All right. So those are the examples of your truth tests. We also talked about, I I think I ended with this. Things that you know by authority and things that you know by personal testimony. I asked you to write down a few things there. I need you to share them out with me now. What were some of the things that you brought up when I asked you to do this at the end of the period? 10 things that you know. I think I dropped it down to about 5 things or 3 things. 3 to 5 things that you know by authority. What are some things that you know by authority? Meaning things people have told you that these things are true. Yes?
Anything that has one of Oprah's book club stamps on it. Obviously, it has to be a good book.
That's it. Yeah, that's a good example. Oprah's. Do you read Oprah's book club?
No.
Oh, okay. It's like no. Yeah. So, okay. So Oprah says a book is good. Go read it, and of course it becomes an instant bestseller if it wasn't already. So, and that's an interesting thing because maybe she is already picking up on popular books and then trying to stick her name on it. It's sort of a desperate attempt to stay in the spotlight after leaving her show. Or it's you know, she's actually making people famous because of her name. So good, the authority from Oprah Winfrey. What else? What else do you know by authority? Kenneth, what do you know?
No.
What do you know by authority?
I wouldn't put one thing.
Where'd you put it?
Annotating helps.
Annotating helps. Okay, yeah. So yes. So someone has told you that if you mark in a book, it's going to somehow make your brain smarter, right?
Yes.
Okay, and that's fair enough. So someone told you that, and you don't think it's true when you annotate or interact with the text. From personal testimony, or from like what you just sort of imagine it to be. Have you tried annotation and then you say it doesn't help? Okay. Okay. Tried it. What other things do you know by authority? Please continue. Yes.
That the speed limit in residential areas is 25 miles an hour.
Okay, so someone has told you that this is, now it is in fact true that it is 25 miles an hour, but you've been told by authorities that it should be 25 miles an hour, right? Someone has told you somewhere that it's safer to go faster or go slower in like school zones, for instance, or residential areas, just for the sake of making sure you don't hit somebody, right? That's good, because you never hit someone, so you wouldn't know like what speed is. Oh, okay, that would be all very morbid at that point. A couple things about personal testimony, things that you know by personal experience. You know it because you have in fact experienced it yourself. What are some things that you have experienced that you don't maybe think that other people in the room have experienced? You can say, I know this is true because Emma.
Getting fallen on by flyer birds.
Oh, so somebody brought a fly rail down and it crashed into you?
Yeah.
Was that during rehearsal or was it during a show?
No,
Or?
rehearsal cheer.
Oh,
Yeah,
rehearsal.
If they fall on you, it hurts.
Ouch, okay. So anyone else have a fly rail or something very heavy hit them in the head?
Had a
A
flyer,
girl,
didn't you?
like
Have you really?
In stagecraft.
Oh, yeah! Now I remember you! Yeah, you were in my class, right?
Yeah, and then you
were-
let me fall asleep on my prop.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, I let
After
you
I
fall.
got hit that same day, you let me fall asleep on my prop.
On your prop?
Yeah, we were doing the macaw project thing.
Oh, that's right. And you felt like you needed to sleep?
Yeah.
That's the best thing to do, right? After you get hit by something. Did I know you got hit by a...
Yeah. I didn't let me sleep.
Mr. Morris, I'm
Instant report.
safety man.
I said flyer, like hailing in the air, like a cheerleader.
Oh, somebody hit you? Oh,
She
okay.
fell.
Oh, girl hit you. No, that's not a big a deal as a lead pipe as what Zach is experiencing. Well, I'm glad that I let you fall asleep. All right. Thank you, Zach, for reminding me. Make me feel like a horrible teacher. Moving on. One more thing about personal testimony. Anything else that you know by personal experience? Nothing. That's it. That's all you know. Those 3 things. Yes.
Chocolate is good.
Chocolate is good. And chocolate is good. Is that a statement? This is actually maybe a good place to transition here a little bit. Is chocolate is good an objective statement or a subjective statement?
Subjective.
Okay, are you sure about that?
Yes.
Ladies, are you sure about that? Is chocolate a subjective? If I could say chocolate is bad. Does any of you guys not like chocolate? Any of you guys in here? But he doesn't like chocolate. Esme doesn't like chocolate. Whoa, there's a lot of people here that don't like chocolate. My sister-in-law would be proud. She hates chocolate, and we give her so much grief for it. At least we did. We love chocolate. You love chocolate? No, I hate chocolate.
You comment on your vines. See what you do with them.
So yeah, that's a good. It's a good thing because chocolate is good is a subjective statement that can be based on it. But you could also make the argument, because this is where objective subjective is kind of a weird language barrier. It doesn't quite make sense perfectly. Is that for you as a person in your sort of truth of the world, it is objectively true, is it not, that chocolate is good? Because you yourself like it, therefore it is true that you like it. So in one sense it's subjective, meaning it's based on individuals' opinions of these things. But for you, in your world, it would be wrong to say that Emma does not like chocolate, right? Does he like chocolate? Okay. So almost messed that up. The chocolate thing is going to get me in trouble here. So yeah, it would be untrue to say that. It would be objectively untrue because Emma in fact does like chocolate. So you can see how the subjective objective, we'll talk more about how that doesn't quite give us the best description of the world. And there will be other types of statements that will be more or less objective when we look at them. To remind you of the knowledge prism that I talked about, you base things on rationality. On one side you have the proofs and truth tests, on the other you have your observations, and you're at the top making the decisions as a knower. I also talked about rational and empirical, so the differences between things I can develop in my mind versus things that I see in the world. So 2 + 2 = 4 versus this cat is orange are two very different statements. They come from different areas of the knowledge prism. And of course this whole I was probed by an alien last night has some other completely different thing that you would have to start developing in order to even begin to think about that and what kind of statement that is, because it's probably built on alcohol. Plato developed in the 4th century BCE the justified true belief theory. So let's kind of break this down and sort of allow, I've already done this, right? Justified, true, and belief. So the justification is it in the realm of falsifiability? True is that it doesn't have enough evidence to make it true as opposed to false. And of course the beliefs, do I internalize this claim and assume it's truth in order to develop my worldview and my understanding of things? You have to move into that realm and not always be a quote-unquote skeptic. You can be a skeptic about how you develop the world, meaning you don't have a lot of faith in everything that you see. You have to be scrutinizing. At the same time, if you've discovered or convinced by something, let it convince you. And all three of these, justified true belief is part of what makes for the idea of knowledge. So knowledge has a breakdown element. Look at a different dichotomy here, acquaintance versus description. It's sort of like personal testimony versus authority. So take a look at these two statements here that describe the acquaintance versus description models of knowledge. The first one being, if you can't say it, you don't know it. This is from Hans Reichenbach. He's a German philosopher in the 19th century. If you can't say it, you don't know it. Is that true? If you can't say it, you don't know it. Give me an example. Give me a counterexample.
You could always be thinking of something, but it's in the back of your mind and you can't come up with it.
Okay, so maybe you just don't have quite the language, or you have like a brain fart or whatever, and you're just like, I know it, but I was in front of all, and I was thinking of this last night. It gave me sweaty palms. I was so I had almost a panic attack. I was in front of all the IB teachers. They're so scary to me because they're like these great minds all together in this room. and so they're all together, and they asked me something about what is TOK, that they just really wanted to make sure that they heard it from me and what I'm teaching you guys, right? So I begin to do the TOK profile, and I forget half the stuff. I'm like, no, and I'm totally blanking out because I'm so nervous. And it makes me look like a fool. An absolute fool. Now I know it very well, but at the moment I was like, my mind just blanked. This has not happened to me since high school. You know what it is? Most of those teachers, high school teachers, I graduated from there. So I immediately went into your guys' mode. I was like, oh. I got all scared. So Huh?
What did you say at the end? TOK is about questions.
I don't know. I can't even remember. It was so
Wow.
horrible.
Well, you said something weird.
But I thought about it last night and I got sweaty palms again. I was so nervous. That was like one of my worst experiences ever. Anyway.
Whenever anyone asks for
Pretentious
TOK,
man.
it's just be like, well, what is life?
What?
They'll never ask you a question again.
There you go. What is? Yeah. What do you mean by what is TOK? That's right. Yeah. Now, if you can't say you don't know it, what are other examples of this besides like it just you forget it at the moment and you feel a little nervous? Yes.
You could do something like math. I mean, you're not going to know math right on the top of your head.
I'm gonna say no. Emma.
You can always have like the thought in your mind, like I know they were doing the presentations, I'd always have these opinions, but I wouldn't know how to verbalize them in a coherent sense.
Okay, so again, there might be a language issue involved with that. You're not quite sure how you have these what would you call them at that point? Emotions or intuitions about something, or a general like I can see it in my head, but I can't articulate it in a paragraph in the amount of time that I would need. Okay, so those could be things like language barriers for sure. That's a definite one. What about just something as simple as like I don't know, like being a professional baseball player? Well, what would be the way in which they know professional baseball? Do they have to be able to tell you everything about how to hit a home run, like the step by step of hitting a home run? What do they just need to do? They just do it, right? They just seem to know how to do it. Okay, so they seem to know how to do it. And if you ask them like, well, can you teach me how to be a professional home run baseball player? And they're like, I couldn't really tell you what I do. I just kind of, when I see the ball, and I've done it so many times, I've practiced it, etc. I've thought about it that I'm able to hit it, even if I can't articulate to you the same method or whatever it is. At that point, there might not be any language to describe. So this really comes down to, is there a language to describe my knowledge or not? Or does language encapsulate everything about knowledge or not? And this is the difference between acquaintance versus description. This one here is for acquaintance or description. If you can't say it, you don't know. Which one? Acquaintance or description would be this quote. Let's look at a second quote. It might help you. I know more than I can say. Is Michael Polanyi. He's a Hungarian philosopher. He's of one of these two camps. I know more than I can say. The baseball player knows more than what he can say regarding his ability to make home runs or to hit home runs. Yes?
What does acquaintance mean in this context?
That's a great question. So acquaintance, what is an acquaintance? Well, do you know the word acquaintance?
Someone you kind of know.
Someone you kind of,
Every now and then.
you kind of know, like you meet with them. So you're acquainted with it as opposed to being able to describe it. So you're around the person. So with a friend, it's like you're around the person, or you kind of just generally know a little bit about what they look like, etc. You're acquainted. And when it comes to ideas, you're acquainted with the idea intimately, meaning you like know how to do it. So a lot of this has to do with, I know more than I can say. Would that be acquaintance or description? I know more than I can say. Acquaintance. This would be, if you can't say it, you don't know it. So it has to do with whether you can say it or not. Description is about speaking it. If I can't speak it, I can't know it. Versus acquaintance. So this is two different models as well of knowledge. Acquaintance versus description. Acquaintance knowledge that you know because you just know how. I love my wife, and I know that because it's not that I can necessarily put it into words. It's just how I live. I live every day with her. I have a family with her, etc. So that's not necessarily something that I just describe. Other types of knowledge is almost all description, and notation, right? Music theory, as just a practice, or mathematics, is a description of some reality that you have to learn. Now, does music encapsulated completely in music theory, like just knowing how to notate? Is that all there is to music? at some point you get acquainted with the sound of it, the sounds of music. Yes. Very good. All right. So that is acquaintance versus description. All right. Imagination. Several quotes. Einstein, by the way, was very big into imagination. Did you know that? Really interested in creativity, and what we will talk about with science is a specific word. It's actually a word that you wouldn't realize is technical, but it is serendipity. The idea is serendipity. He's very wrinkly as well. Yes, he left his wrinkles on his forehead.
Drawing, right?
No, this is a well, it might be a drawing. It might be. This might be a drawing, but there's an actual photograph. Yeah, but this is probably a drawing. So imagination. What is the imagination? That's a hard question, isn't it? What is the? Emma has a song. What was that song?
SpongeBob. You don't watch SpongeBob.
That's right, I don't. That's so terrible that I don't.
Well,
Kenneth, what's imagination?
Huh?
What's imagination?
I didn't raise my hand.
You did too. I did. You all see him. He was all like,
I don't know why it was
like
up in
perfect.
the air.
He's like, oh darn
It was
it.
just like Miss Nelson all over it.
Get that down. Get down. I don't want to volunteer. Yeah. So, imagination, when we were to look at, Einstein's work, for instance, most of the work that he produces is built on his sort of constant thinking that imagination, this idea that there's this gap between what you know and what you don't know or what you want to know about the world is a constant source of infinite regressive possibility. So your imagination is that gap between what you know and what you want to know about the world. It is that place of infinite possibility in which your mind can wander irrationally, illogically. If we were to be stuck completely in this realm of logic, we would constantly be reverting back to making our propositions valid and yada yada yada. But we don't live like that. We live in this sort of this world that's much more fluid and irrational. It's okay to be irrational sometimes. You don't always do things perfectly rational. And Einstein, I think, was a proponent of this. Some of these quotes here. I am enough of an artist to draw freely upon my imagination. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. That's an Einstein quote. Everything you can imagine is real. There's another Einstein quote. Everything you imagine is real. Because you imagine it. It's that objective-subjective deal that I had mentioned with chocolate, right? You imagine it, therefore it's real because it's in your brain and you imagine it. So this is part of your the high stock that Einstein has on the idea of imagination. We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful about what we pretend to be as well. So when we are promoting ourselves as TOK teachers, I'm like, oh, I better know this, right? So I better be careful. Can imagination be a source of knowledge? This is an interesting problem of knowledge, the idea of imagination being a source. Notice, if you go back to your learner profile, I did not have imagination in that section there. You might want to argue whether that should or should not be in the learner profile, the idea of imagination. What's the closest thing to imagination in that TOK learner profile if you look that back up on your notes? Yes? The arts. The arts is a good, I think, a good discipline, area of knowing that we often use creativity in. Anyone else have a description of that? Is imagination. What about a way of knowing?
Sense perception.
Do you think of your senses when you think of imagination, twins? Yeah, I think so. I think you look at the world and you think, what can I do better with this? Do you ever start daydreaming where you kind of like start building things in your head by what you're seeing out there as a way of kind of, I don't know, making life a little bit more interesting? When I think of imagination, I think of that limbo area in Inception, where it's like that dream space that's unstructured dream space or something like that, where you're gonna wash up on this shore and you're immediately ready just to make stuff. That's what I think of with imagination.